Oi pessoal, hoje eu estou praticando inglês utilizando um vídeo antigo do Steve Jobs. Então o que eu vou estar falando aqui é de um texto de um vídeo do Steve Jobs que foi publicado no YouTube. Quem quiser saber qual é o vídeo, deixa aqui no comentário que eu mando. Então começando agora a prática, eu vou ler o texto originalmente do Steve Jobs. Então o que eu estiver falando aqui são as palavras dele. I tell you about mistakes. Maybe we are a lot of scar issue. There are really interesting book that was written by a guy named Paul Strassman, and Paul has one of the more interesting job in the planet. He is the CIO of a very large organization called the Pentagon, and they really understand software there. I had conversation with him. The lesson of the Gulf War was the best software will win the war, and they are trying to do this in software area. The book is the name of this book is the name of this book. He wrote in a book. The name is The Business Value of Computers, and not, and can blow through some incredible stuff in it. And he asked two questions in particular. One was he survived a bunch of companies from not very successful all of the way through really successful, and there's some more take notes here. He asked how much spent information in technology as a percentage of revenues, and he got a very counterintuitive question. More or less, it's not successful companies depend on your theory, but they will spend about 2% of revenue on information technology. And he asked another question: how did they spend their money? And he found out that the really successful one, actual, let's start not successful ones, as success increases and dollar increases. He found the not successful ones spent the majority of their money on management productivity, and the more successful ones spend the majority of their money on operational productivity applications. Now, was not very present because I spent the first 10 years of my life of management productivity with MPC. PCs and Mac never attacked operational productivity. This attacked management productivity. What is that? Because you can go to your local computer store and buy an app will help you do stock trading, or help to run a hospital, or will help you in whatever operational part of your business you want to automate. Unless you're a very small business, then but the you business things never attacked operational productivity. So we zoom out, they say, how have people attacked operational productivity with information technology? We in 16 the mainframe and some terminal with COBOL wrote few apps, and most of them came back home apps, and it sort of worked for very years. 17s they got a mainframe and some terminals and did the same thing, and few of them got mini computer in the 80s, not in 10s, mainframe and terminal minis, until maybe about 3 or 2 years ago. What happened is 2 or 3 years ago, the front office started to realize that they needed operational apps so bad they couldn't depend on the MIS folks anymore. They started talking live in their own range, and something working with the MS folks to start downsizing and get some servers and running some industry standard databases like Oracle in the server, and make a little local area network and getting some workstation, spending about 2 years writing some mission critical operation applications like trading apps for Wall Street, perfect example, and kind of work. And the reason that they needed to do this was because more and more they were discovering that things like new products require custom operational application. An example, if you're in financial services and you come up with new products, it's only three things: the ideas, it's a sales force, and custom app to bang on databases to make the product real to do the mortars or wherever is it. Without the app, we don't have a product. And so there was being increased build-up of demand from different parts of corporations to create more and more of these operational applications. And I think it's going to get the point where this becomes fairly clear that this is the next big revolution in desktop computing, is to attack the operational productivity. And as we start to re-engineer, we do think to automate a lot of custom applications. Sounds like strange now. Sounds like desktop publishing in 1985. I guess it's pretty horizontal, and we are talking vertical markets now that know they wanted this. They know and going extremely well. Sun is the only company that's really had any success at this, and we are knocking them out of the box because we come up with this software called Next Step, which lets you build apps 5 to 10 year times faster than anything more, and after build them, easy to use this computer, and you can interoperate your custom app with a bunch of off-the-shelf products. These companies that use Sun still use to write their app about using Sun, and in about 90 days in Next. If you're in Wall Street, you can create a new product in 90 days versus your competitor in 2 years that have you can feel that everyone and can start to see competitive advantage can create this way. We had no idea that we were any good when we started Next. A lot of times you don't know what your competitive advantage is when you launch a new product. Let me give you a historical value. Well, when we created the Macs, how many you see have seen an X? How many days of you use an X? That are not so bad. We're like to tend the rate a little bit when on the right track. When we did the Macintosh, we never anticipated desktop publishing when we created the Mac. Sounds funny because the Mac's compelling advantage, right? The thing that did not want the advantage else had to have one we never anticipated. We anticipated bitmap displays, laser printer, page maker really coming down to the desktop. Maybe we weren't smart enough, but we were smart enough to see the 9 and 12 months to focus on desktop publishing, and it became the Trojan horse and eventually got the Mac into corporate America. All the other it could do. Likewise, when we created Next Step, this revolutionary object-oriented software that we have, our target customer coming from the PC world, where Shingrap were king, was Lotus, Adobe, and all of the software. And worked, we have a ton of this kind of software. But it wasn't until in 91 early last year, some really big companies come to us. You don't understand the same software that allows Lotus to create their apps to 10 times faster, letting us to build our mission critical apps. And it is the biggest problem we've had. It's a huge problem for every big company, and almost all medium-sized companies have a solution in your hands. And took about 3 months before we finally heard it. And the last summer we tended world tales and market strategy around to focus on that and taking off like a rocket. We grew about 4 times last year. And our customer list is now very, very strong and growing like crazy. We just back from spending a few days in DC, and we're taking to customer to only dreamed of talking 2 years ago. So that we go, and our arch enemy Sun They want to kill us. What is good, they should try to do that because the sooner they do it, will be for them. I think gone past the point is possible. A greatest thing is harder children every 18, 18 months. A If you luck, you can make something time as good as your competitor probably is enough to be a quick competitive advantage, and it only lasts for 6 months. But software seems to take a lot longer for people to catch up with. I watched Microsoft take 80 years. It takes a long time, and we think the soonest we're going to have a true competitor is probably 4 to 5 years. So we got that amount of time to grow ourselves to 1 to 2 billion company. Today can't compete with the scale. We never have many enemies like sun. We got to have a better product, and I hope we always, and I think I also like to be able to run for the money on scale and got the next two really fast, having competitive product we are at large enough to scale, can start to compete with them. And what we're doing, spend a lot of time with customers, spend a lot of time making next step better, and that kind of thing. That's the strategic basis. Do they make any sense for you? Most of you, most of you have a company, so you can have this problem in company you come from. A lot of pressure to write this operational custom application, hardly anything coming out to satisfy this thirst. How many of you from Wall Street? Good. How many of you from manufacturing companies? Excellent. How are the rest of you then? Consulting? How many from consulting? Oh, that bad. A mind is too important to waste. You should do something. The only consultant I've seen that I think the ones that help us to sell our computer. No, seriously, I don't think there's anything inherently evil in consulting. I think that without owning something over an extended period of time, like a few years, we only have a chance to take responsibility for one recommendation. We see one recommendation through all action stage and accumulate scar issues and pick oneself out of ground and dust oneself off. One learn a fraction of what one can. On learn coming and making recommendation, not owning the results, not owning the implementation, I think is a fraction of the value, the fraction of opportunity to learn and get better. And so you do get broad cut off companies, very thin. It's like picture of I'm vegetarian, is like a picture of a banana. You might get very accurate picture on, but only two-dimensional, and without the experience of actually doing it, you never get three-dimensional. So you might have a lot of, you can say, look, we worked the pizzas, we worked in grapes, but you never really test it. And that's what I think. We are also very in the hard times you find yourself. You find yourself variable, right? If it's the software your company, how can you put out the platform you don't put in some? Very good question. I'm going to generalize your question. Why don't just become a software company, right? That's very good question. I'm going to try to go through this question. And sorry I jump around if I jump around. We got a lot of requests from customer. The next step on other platform, Intel based platform like 486. So we decided to do just that. And we have ported the next step to 486, and I will ship in the September October time frame. It's exactly the same stuff we run in your computer. Same apps, same user interface, same training, same desktop environment, and we're going to sell it for 95 or recognize it and OEM at much cheaper price. And everybody coming out with the woodwork will get help from Novell, will get help from all developers, Intel really helping us, and they really want us to succeed. Why is that? They all want to make sure that there's a choice, and they are really scared about Microsoft, and they see next step on the horizon that can change Microsoft system software for the next year. We are enjoying a lot of help, and boy, we needed to that good. Now we also had a lot of requests from companies to port next step to other platform, and we're taking some of these companies right now. Now we have a lot of some requests to port the next step, not one, two, but already both. One, you can put your software because some falling behind in software. Now, some they had the sticks need don't help us. That's code. In addition to that, if you look at how we sell our computers right now, we have a sales force in the US of about 100 professionals out selling next computer. They spend 90% of their time selling next step software, and then 10% of their time selling the hardware. In other words, if they need to buy into next step, they're going to sell the hardware because right now we have the only hardware is HANA. So they are all there selling next step right now, and this is what is required to launch a new innovative product. The current distribution channels for the computing industry over the last several years have lost their ability to create demand. They can fulfill demand, they can't create it. If a new product comes here, lucky if you can find somebody, at the computer store even know how to demo it. So the more innovative product is, the more the revolutionary, and not just an incremental improvement. The more you stuck, because the existing channels is only fulfillment. Matter of fact, it is getting so bad that it is getting wiped out because there are more efficient channels to fulfillment demand, like the telephone and Federal Express. So we are seeing the channel become condensed on this way to, I think, this telebusiness. So how does one bring innovation to the marketplace? We believe the only way we need to do it right now is showing this in front of customers, showing them the products in the environment of their own problems, and discussing how this problem can mate with the solutions. And software-only company could never afford the first of direct sales force. With an average selling of price of 5,000 yuan, And that's why I don't think going to see any more system software companies succeed. I don't think it is possible to fund the effort to educate the market about a revolutionary product with a speed that low. And it's not a revolutionary product. Don't think the company can succeed. So our strategy has been we've got a hardware company in order to make our software business succeed. And we think can do really. I know that long answer, but it's a complex problem too. Our competitors are only three, really three things. One is Sun Solaris Software, the other is Microsoft, and third is Talendant. Let's take them in that order. Sun for a while had the software value added because they are the best Unix in marketplace, but the market move was the Sun hasn't. So the software falling further and further. And while we take them very seriously, we don't think Solaris is don't have an object in it, and pretty much what they have today. Microsoft is doing NT with their sort of Microsoft is doing NT with is their sort of second attempt, the second attempt that Unix won aid, and that is great. Is better than the last one, which was the OS 2, but fundamentally it's just an operating system. It's better plumbing for Windows. That's a good way of thinking it. Unfortunately, if you are still stuck in Windows, including the worst development environment that's ever been created, and so we don't think it's going to present a challenge on mission critical software because not objective oriented in this product. In terms of Talendant represents the first true competitor that we could have. They're going to ship a product around 1995 if they execute to their plans, and I think if they to execute their plans and work really hard by about 90s, we have wholly. It's not meant as a joke, it still means we have to run hard because that will have a lot of resources at their disposal. I think there's a lot of questions of will ever ship a product. This Steve Jobs video is little older. He is talking about the starting of object-oriented languages, and talking about the Sun microsystems, the Sun Solaris, the software today has discontinued. In this time when Steve Jobs is talking about this, he is on the start of Next. The Next is a company that the Steve Jobs Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the Apple CEO in these times, if I remember correctly, is Amelio or older CEO of Apple, and the staff of Apple and the CEO fired Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs out of Apple started two new companies. The one of these companies is Next, with the operating system Next Step, and Steve Jobs have bought another company, has not created the other company. He's bought the Pixar company is a company. Pixar is a company that have a lot of movies like Toy Story, animation movies, 3D animation movies, and some years later, Pixar was bought from Disney. Pixar today is part of business. Some ecosystem today is part of Oracle. Solaris operating system has discontinued, and the other operation system company does not exist anymore. OS2 does not exist anymore for a lot of years, and today uh, Next has next uh, next and the operating system next step has bought from Apple, and some years later than when this video and this text has writing is uh, after this, Steve Jobs returned to Apple, and next step turned be a new Apple product with a lot of workers in this. The next step operating system is now the Mac OS X, the operation system of Apple computers. And Apple today have the value of two trillions of dollars in stock market. Please correct this information if I talk with a mistake in my words. This video that I reading this, I am watching this is amazing. It's very good you to see this video and try to understand this vocabulary in this video of Steve Jobs. The name of the video, if you need to find this on YouTube, is Steve Jobs, President is CEO Next Computer Corp and Apple. MIT Slow Distinguished Speaker Series. Steve Jobs, President is CEO Next Computer Corp and Apple. MIT Slow Distinguished Speaker Series. And this is today this method that I am using to study English and to train my speaking, my pronunciation, to get new words in my vocabulary and in English. This method, and to use my time to understand the English, to understand prioritizing understanding English. If I will see one YouTube video in English by curiosity, or by studying, or by fun, or only by curiosity, like this video, I don't see this video in passively form. I start to watch this video, and I pick up the subtitles, the English subtitles, and with the text of English subtitles, I use this text of English subtitles to read this when the Steve Jobs in video is talking. I read the English. I see this video with the English audio, and sometimes I use the subtitles in English, like a closed caption, the English subtitles, and I read these English subtitles to get new words in my vocabulary, to practice my speaking, my accent, and this is one thing that I do to to trying English, okay? You understand it? Okay, in my abstract of this video, Steve Jobs, one of the computer industry foremost entrepreneurs, gives a wide-handed talk to a group of MIT Sloan School of Management students in the spring of 1992. Jobs shares his professional vision and personal anecdotes from his role at the time as a president and CEO of Next Computer Corporation to be trialing challenges of co-creating Apple Computer and subsequent disappointment at his hosting. In conversational exchange with audience member, Jobs underscored the value of direct experience in the field and development is car issues. The unexpected guest lecture with the Sloan Distinguished Speaker Series can be about through the effort of a Sloan MBA 92 student whose sister had recently married Jobs. Special thanks to YouTuber Paul Mandian for leaking out these highlights. In this video talk about this. Comparing management versus operational productivity in software, rapid software developing rapid software development of application software using Next, desktop publishing on the Macintosh, problem with consultants, should Next just become software company, who are the next competitors, Solaris, Microsoft NT, next step operating environment. The code that never breaks is the code that you don't. And the benefits of object-oriented programming, next growth dependent on application developer, reflecting on separating from Apple and the struggles at Apple focusing on consumer electronics, big achievements and management organization at Next, how technology windows open in the market, Apple II, DOS, Lisa, Macintosh, Nextcube. I think object-oriented technology is the biggest technical breakthrough I have seen since the early 80s with graphical user interfaces and think it's bigger actually. Should you develop application objects and then tools, the brightest people are writing objects. Developing products with higher education, what to learn at Apple, taking a long-term view on people, management style and resolving conflict, Macintosh and PC and challenge with portability, processor speed, disk space, high-speed network, true color display, power, manufacturing system, Macintosh versus Next, removing warehouse with the just-in-time processes. Factories as a software with interesting I/O devices like robots, using manufacturing to improve time to market, product and process simultaneously, and growth of Apple and the Macintosh.